Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone around the world listening in. I'd like to say warm welcome and thank you for tuning in. Firstly, I'd like to start off with if you did tune in to last week's show, it was a bit of a first show experience, bit of crash and burning, but it was all good nevertheless. But I'll move on and learn from that. But today, what I'll start with is what I didn't get to say on the first show. Is firstly the show The Remembering is more about the listeners and everyone who is in a similar situation of coming to an understanding that everything isn't exactly the way that we once thought it was, being brought up and being taught a certain way, and that this is the way life is taught down by our parents or our loved ones around us. But well, today hopefully I should have maybe Santos Max Egan on the show just to pop in and say hello. But I'm 25 now, from Melbourne, Victoria, in Australia, and it's been a very interesting journey. But I must say it sort of started with high school, I think, and just questioning a lot of things that were taught to me, and how I didn't agree with everything that was happening and that was going on, and yeah, just had conflicting understandings about how things seem to work and what we're told to us. But having a psychic auntie as well, she had a big impact on my imagination and my awareness to possibilities, and always keeping my imagination intrigued and sustained by different possibilities. I think one of the main decisions I've made so far in the past year is when you make that decision to live truthfully, to live 100% by truth, and you do whatever you have to keep that sustained. And I've had a few experiences so far myself with police officers and going to court, and it's been a very, very interesting journey. And learning about fiction is a very, very, it's a rough ride, but it's a very necessary one if you're broadening your horizons to deeper possibilities. It's more eliminating fear. It's a very, very big journey that I've learned. Losing fear for most things that were indoctrinated and taught to us at a young age, and we've learned there's natural fears, of course, but having certain things taught to us down the line that affect how we operate in our society. Like, even I know myself, being young, 25 and single, going out with friends, and you see, like, your close friends, even guys who have that sort of fear to approach the opposite sex and even just start a conversation. Having that fear is totally, I think, caught on from going through school and going through high school, and how you're sort of worried about how someone might think of you, because there's things like ego involved, but we're not aware of those sort of things when we're younger. But what I will like to start with is I'll see if Santos is online and waiting. I'll see if I can bring him in. Give me one moment. Hope everyone's having a enjoyable evening or afternoon. And here's 1 second. Just bringing him in now. See if he answers.
Hello?
Santos.
Yeah.
How you going?
Good, Emilio. Yourself?
Yeah, really good, thank you. What's been happening down your end?
Not too much. Just preparing research as usual, getting heavily into research for my documentary in May in Ecuador.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome, that'll be very exciting.
Absolutely.
When do you take off? When do you propose to leave?
30th of April.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Not too far away, only a month away.
No, it's a dream that we've been working on for, me especially for, many years. But Johnny Guzman from Ecuador, he's got a production team there ready to go. And he's been talking about this for over a year now. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. This support, I've got great support. It's just a matter of, timing for a lot of people. But there will be a lot of helpers. A lot of people will prepare things and help us with this documentary because it's so crucial to get syncretism out into the world.
Yes, definitely. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Oh, for those this is my second show, but I met Santos at a seminar that he did in Melbourne. I found him on Red Ice Radio actually, and finding out that he lived in Melbourne. Oh my God, I must go see this guy. So that's how I met Santos. Went to seminars, ended up creating a good friendship with him, helping him out here and there, and now we keep in good contact and keeps posted on the things that are going on. So it's really good, Santos, having you as a close friend.
Oh, likewise, man. You've been there in many instances to help. We did a couple of presentations down in Geelong. You were basically organising everything with your Cancerian motherly, embracing moon nature. Yeah, making sure everybody's mothered nicely and looked after. Lovely. I love Cancerians, and actually, I get a lot of good energy from Cancerians. They cousins and friends, and they really direct good energy to me. I get it. Yeah. Well, my North Node in Cancer, so Cancer. I'm going to love Cancerians. Full period. But no. The other thing is you're always there, doing things behind the scene. I know what you're doing with Ahmed, and always dealing with sovereign matters. Yeah. And you've got your friends who have the heirloom seeds. So you're getting into all the good things, sovereignty, health. So it's great to have you too,
No, thanks heaps, man. Did you want to maybe, for the guys who just tuned in, who maybe give a little brief sort of introduction of your area of expertise?
Well, yeah, I'm just a researcher. That's all I purport to be, and my research comes from all the subjects that I've loved since I was born: music, theology, astronomy, languages. And all of these, most of these happen to be part of the quadrivium, which I believe is way more important than the trivium. It's actually the quadrivium, according to all the great astrologers, that will expand the mind. Geometry, numbers, music, and astronomy. Those four.
Yeah.
Now, reason being, I've always loved those things, and so that's what those subjects help me to put syncretism together. Syncretism, what I do, mostly, is all about showing the interrelatedness of everything. So you could, with this, can show Hinduism the same as Christianity, but say the same, because once you change the names of the archetypes, it's exactly the same story. There's no difference. Krishna is Christ. Vishnu turns out to be another archetype. It'll be another planet like Jupiter. Shiva is Mars, the destroyer. So we see in the West the same system as in the East. But not just with these two. You can apply that with the Mayan religion, Muslim. I've done a lot of information about Islam. I've shown how the Quran is full of astrology. I've shown how the Bible is full of astrology. And I've shown basically the science that glues it all together. It's the sine wave. When you study the sine wave, which is a two-dimensional graph, of course, on a piece of paper, but it's not to be taken two-dimensionally. You're supposed to think three-dimensionally when you look at a sine wave.
Yeah.
And I've proven that all the information about syncretism is in the sine wave. And so I've 21 full-length presentations full of evidences and proofs which point to a very, very syncretic past when we were much more conscious on this planet. We were syncretic. We were 100% syncretic.
That's an amazing understanding, isn't it? Like the loss of memory of forgetting everything.
Yep, that's all it was. It's just a loss of memory. That's what's happened. The Dark Ages have fallen upon us. And what happens when the Dark Ages come is that dark entities then begin to harvest other people's energy for their profit. And that's what's going on now. That's the reason why we are so dumbed down on this planet, the reason why we are so retarded in our development. We've been deliberately deliberate attack against consciousness.
Yeah.
And so syncretism will free us from this. It will free us. It is absolutely the one and only answer. There's no answer. Unity is the answer. Syncretism unites. It unites everything. Yeah. There's nothing that I have excluded from that sine wave. The sine wave contains all the information. There's nothing excluded from it at all.
Have you come across sort of a lot of things, particularly in this month, that have arisen with sort of global issues that are popping up here and now more and more, like this month being a very energetic point in time?
Yeah, I've already done some shows on Aries, and I did say that once the Sun enters Aries on the 21st of April, there will be jolts and shaking up of the religious and spiritual axis of the zodiac, and also the governmental and political axis. Now, what I mean by that? Well, first of all, we did see a great shock. We saw what Ireland did in the first week of Aries.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. That's look. You can just look at the stars. You can see what's going on in them. If you know how to read them, it's quite easy. I teach this weekly in my webinars. And for those that are interested, please join at schooloftheholyscience.org.
Yeah, everyone check it out. Check out Santos' site. It's awesome.
Yeah, if you register there, we will send notifications of all the great teachers that are on there. We've got about 10 teachers on the school now.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. There's Bill Donahue, who's been teaching astrology for 30 years, 40 years. We've got Matt Presti, Robert O'Tay, Johan Oldenkamp from Holland teaching the Holy Science, Marty Leeds. We've got all the best teachers teaching Hermetic principles and wisdom. Now, so when you look upstairs, then you realise what's going to pan out on the secular plane down below. As above, so below. Now, Ireland told the banks where to go, just like Iceland, and that happened in Aries. Now, how do we know these things are going to happen? Well, it's easy. Uranus is in Aries, squaring with Pluto in Capricorn. This is a very powerful square. They've squared 3 times already in the last year and a half since Uranus entered Aries on the 11th of March 2011. That's the tsunami day, Japan tsunami. Yeah. So when Uranus transit, whenever there is a transit of the big boys, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, you can rest assured that there will be big things happening on the planet. Now, we also have Mars and Venus and the Sun in Aries together with Uranus. So they are combining their forces with Uranus, and Aries is all about ecclesiastical, religious, spiritual concerns, squaring with the political axis of Capricorn and Pluto. Pluto in Capricorn is destroying and transforming the governmental structures, political structures. So there is Ireland is a symptom of that square. Yeah. And over a period of 7 years, there will be 7 squares between Uranus and Pluto. That's the most that you'll ever get any planet. Yeah, you won't get more than 7 aspects with any of these planets. But the reason being is because these guys are very slow moving. Yeah. And that's why we're going to have 7 squares. But this particular square is doing a lot of damage in people's minds with regard to institutions. People are rebelling on every level. They're sick of
I'm just going to bring in a friend of mine, Darius. Hang on one moment. Darius.
Oh, hello.
How are you going?
Hey, how you doing?
Not bad, yourself?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, you know.
Awesome. We just got Santos Bonacci here with us. He's explaining the things that are going on. And Santos, while you were talking about that subject, to bring in, what do you think about the archonic mind, to jump into the deep end? If you'd like to maybe put a little bit of input on how that regards to the planets and solar system and that sort of thing.
Which mind?
The archonic mind, like the archons.
Yeah, well, the archons, I call the archons the cosmocrators of the dark satellite.
Saturn?
Dark satellite.
Okay.
Yeah, the dark satellite.
Yeah.
In occult science is the place where, according to Thomas H. Burgoyne, that's where this world's evil other half are being ruled by. It's one of the chakras of the Earth. The Earth has 7 chakras, and one of those is called the dark satellite. It's the animal chakra of the Earth, where animal spirits are held in between incarnations. Now, according to Plato and Pythagoras, they said that this satellite would not be felt, its influence would not be felt in the golden and in the silver ages. But in the bronze and iron age, it will be felt. So, the archons being the planets, the demiurge.
Yeah, the demiurge.
The demiurge. These guys are good and evil, just like we are. You know,
the polarity is necessary.
Yeah, we're not talking about the causal creator here. We're talking about created entities. And because of the disturbance in the solar system and the fact that we have been in the dark ages for a couple of thousand years now, through the age of Pisces, and a little bit of Aries before that. Well, these entities have shown their nasty face rather than their good face. But they are also able to, change their course just as we are. We can all embrace the light, so they can.
Oh, okay. Too. See, I coming from my first understanding of the archons, was from John Lash. And for those of you unfamiliar about the archons, going back in history is a very sort of interesting thing. And the Gnostics talk about the archons as well as being the supposed, if if you think this is correct, Santos, like the rulers of our solar system, so to speak, like they were coming to awareness, seeing this great solar system before them, and seeing that they were the creators of it. And it's interesting, they're in a different sort of being, like they're not an organic form like those on the planet Earth, and they're unable to incarnate as a physical form. The only way they can is to project themselves through us. And sort of the understanding on that at the moment with them is it's because of the time that we're in now, they've been playing out the sort of negative role, and their image is for like greed and all those sorts of things, where they're playing out the negative side of things, and that's how we've gotten to this point now. If you'd like to elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You've summed that up pretty well. They were able to incarnate, if you can call it that, in other ages when they had more noble intentions. But you see, there are good archons and bad archons in the sun. There are good archons and bad archons.
See, that's unreal. I've never actually been aware of the polarity of the archons.
Yeah, all the planets are populated. This is not the only populated planet. They all are. All of the 7 visible planets consider themselves to be the prime cosmocrators of this solar system. They constructed it. It's their creation. The sun, which is otherwise known as Jesus Christ the Saviour in the scriptures, or whoever, Vishnu, Krishna, whatever you want to call it, but the sun is the creator or co-creator of this solar system. You're always talking about co-creators when you're talking about named gods. If it has not got a name, that's the causal God, the true creator.
Okay. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of David Wilcock before, but you were talking about the planets. He said that there's 50,000 million planets in this dimensional frequency, just like us, that people look just like us in this, because we live in the third dimension. So just in this frequency range, there's 50,000 million planets in our universe that are just like us. I did some studying up on him, and you were talking about the planets, and I had to put that in there real quick.
Yeah, that's. Oh, I haven't come across it actually. That's very interesting that you say that, because all the different densities and overtones of density is very possible. Yeah. I know you've come across David Wilcock a fair few times, Santos.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I've seen lots of his videos, and he comes from a totally different place to me, but very useful nonetheless. I appreciate what he's doing, but it's true. Yes, there will be millions and millions. Giordano Bruno was saying the same thing 400 years ago and was put to death because of that. He was saying that our sun is just another star, just like all of those stars, and they are all inhabited, and there are extraterrestrial beings and inhabited planets everywhere. There's no such thing as a dead rock out there. Yeah. This is what the idiots that think that they've been educated by this world's universities say, because that's what the institution, that's what Rome prefers to teach people, that there's just rocks out there. The sun's just a hydrogen radiation rock, and then the moon's just a rock, and they're all inanimate. Well, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely...
Yeah, that's a topic in itself altogether, just having that education put there and planned and engineered for us to learn something that they've wanted us to learn for obvious reasons.
Yeah, exactly. They are archangels. They are higher order beings. Many of them have not incarnated, so they envy us. You got to remember, these archons envy humans. Yeah. Humans are the highest of all the created or at least the ones that have the highest potential of all created beings in the universe. We are the jewel. We are the gems of the universe. This is why these archons are so keen to keep us dumbed down, to think that we're just 9-to-5ers. Clock in, get a job, and rock up in court when you get a summons from the Inquisition and jail yourself with your signature. That's how dumb we are, man. That's how dumb we are. And yet out there in the higher dimensions, we are gods beyond your imagination, the power that we have. And in fact, we've created this universe too. You and I have had a part in, Emilio, rest assured. Yeah. Rest assured. And we've made mistakes in the creation, but we've made good things in the creation, because these are just thought waves that we are witnessing, this universe of motion. And we have been part of that creative process. Absolutely, 100%, you can bank on that fact that we did create part of this. It's part of our creation. It's
a very profound thought, isn't it? Very, very profound.
Yeah, and all we need to do is wake up to that, and so that we can get it better. Because when you look out on the secular plane and see troubles and wars and famines and all these sicknesses and stuff like that, rest assured that they have a similar resonance within you. And what it means is that you're still dealing in those things, those dualistic things. Once you and I, we go into unity think, or unity being, and all of our speech is unity and not duality, when we're not talking about good and evil all the time, but we're talking about one thing, because it is a universe. When we get out of the dual verse, then what will happen is this: perfection outside of our bodies and perfection inside of our bodies will meet on the horizon and will be alchemically wed forever after. But it hasn't happened yet. The reason being is that we are still dealing with that dross. We're still transmuting that lead into gold. Once we perfect the process, everything out there will perfect.
Do you think it's more of an external force that will come through, or because I've indulged in trying to understand this as deep as I possibly can go, or is it being more of an internal thing where we all have to come to that, say, awareness, so to speak, before we can harness that type of understanding or possibility? Because I know I've researched into a few years ago the photon belt and things like that, where the energy's coming from the center of the galaxy through, or it's the Earth itself. Like, there's a lot of interesting sort of theories out there.
From within, brother. From within.
Yeah, that's what I've come to understand recently.
Yeah, power comes from within. Yeah. Force comes from without. It's just like...
Hello? Darius.
Someone's unmuted.
I think so, yeah. Well, I was just going to call her. I'll just quickly pop him on. Hello, 8082. You there? 8082? Can you hear me at all? Caller 8082? Oh, maybe he's gone away. I'll just put him back on mute. You there, Darius, as well?
Oh, yes,
Hello?
I'm here.
No worries.
Yeah.
We had a caller come in, but I think he's gone away, maybe. Alright, no, I'll just put him on mute. Santos, yeah, what you were saying, sorry? It's an internal thing, yeah.
We do get help from outside, for sure, but how much can outside forces really do when we are resisting that help? Obviously, then we must turn within. Each one must turn within. It's like, how much can you help another person if they're not helping themselves? Well, you can't. You pick them up, you give them $100 so that they can eat for a week, but then they're calling you up for another $100 the next week because they don't know how to get $100 for themselves. Yeah. Or or whatever. So you're giving people fish all the time rather than teaching them how to fish. If you want to know how to fish, you've got to go within. Everything I know, everything that I do, I am self-taught. I never went to any schools. I never did any of that stuff. I buy my own books. I've taught myself astronomy, astrology, many languages, musical instruments. I've played professionally all my life. I've taught myself every single thing I know. Why? Because I can.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's the most beautiful thing that we can all do. And just when you look, I know, just thinking about education at the moment, it's all necessary. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be the way it is at the moment for us to look at it and be aware of that being one way of learning. But it's hard for people to sort of who aren't in the sort of awareness, so to speak, looking at it as an indoctrinated way of thinking. Like, I'm not sure if you're aware or know John Taylor Gatto. Have you heard of John Taylor Gatto at all?
Oh, for sure, of course.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He rips right through the whole. It was all based on Nazism, and I remember watching his 4 hours of the ultimate history lesson, guys. If you want to get into education and history a little bit, unbelievable. The ultimate history lesson by John. I remember watching that. It feels like the whole 12 years of schooling were just sort of ripped out of me. It was, very, very unbelievable. Opened my eyes. I knew a little bit, but, well, my gosh, when I watched that. What about yourself, Darius? How did you find sort of being aware of school and that sort of thing?
Well, what I think about school, as I told you before, I really don't. I don't like school, but then again, I ask a lot of people too. Well, when's the best time to look at the stars? And they would say in the dark. I'm like, exactly, in the dark, in a mountain where it's the darkest. Because when you're around, surrounded by darkness, it's the easiest to see the light, and the light is the stars. So I mean, I don't like school. I don't like it at all, and I don't like the system. But people need to understand too is without all this darkness, we wouldn't be able to see the light the way that we are able to now. You see, if everything was perfect the way that we wanted it to, it would be very difficult to see the light, other than the way the system is, and school teaches children to thrive things outside of themselves and not perfection inside of themselves. What the system teaches people how to do is to look out things like, okay, maybe if I get this car, I'll be beautiful and I'll be happy, and maybe if I get this good job and a good house, then I'll be happy within myself. When that's not true at all, because people need to realize the system, the way it teaches you, is false. You need to look within yourself and realize that you are already perfection. You are already the creation. You're already beautiful the way that you are. And what I think is without this system, with this system the way it is now, it actually helps people to look within themselves to see how beautiful they are, because you will look at the system and see all the flaws. You will look at it and say, okay, well, I know that the government and the Illuminati, etc., does this, and it allows you to see the flaws in the system, and it allows you to see the perfection inside of you, because you see something that is better, and you're able to look at yourself for the first time in your life, maybe for people that are awakening, to say, oh my God, I am beautiful, when they look in that mirror, instead of looking outside of themselves and looking at all the flaws and looking, oh, maybe if I get a suit or something, it'll make me happy. So that's my opinion on it.
Oh, I totally agree. If everything was happy and blissful and perfect, then we wouldn't understand how to learn, because the bad times and the negative things, the best teachers, they teach us, and we learn from those experiences, and we become a lot more wise, I suppose, in a way of explaining it. But yes, I do totally agree. Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, another example is, I mean, the only way you will learn something is, what do you learn more, from a punishment or a consequence? A lot of people would say you will learn more from a punishment, because, say for instance, if you're going to touch a hot stove and your parents told you don't touch it because you'll burn yourself, and every time when you got really close to touching a hot stove, your parents will ground you. And so I mean, by punishment, you learn to be more careful. But when you learn by a consequence, as soon as you touch that hot stove, immediately you learn by your consequence. Because as soon as you touch it, you're like, oh shit, that's hot, you know. And then you will never touch it ever again. But what the system does is it likes to punish you most of the time, and you never really learn by your consequence. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, no, I do agree. Santos, you still with us?
I am, yes.
What time did you have to shoot out by any time? Because I know you got a show with Jordan Maxwell. Yep.
In 25 minutes, so I've got a good 10 minutes more.
Beautiful. Well, who else have you got on your show today?
We usually have Jordan join us, Kate of Gaia and Tony Zeppi. We've got a little panel there, and we do syncretism. Okay. We just get new stuff out on syncretism.
Awesome.
On air, because
post me that link to that so I can post it into the chat for those guys who are interested to listen in.
Yeah, for sure. I'll do that now.
Awesome. How's Darius?
Yeah.
What we were talking about, how understanding that all the things that we're, and now I've lost my train of thought there.
Well, consequences. You're talking about consequences. Yeah. Great way to learn.
That's something on the tip of my tongue.
We're all remembering through these consequences and experiences. God, the Creator, the still magnetic light of omniscience and omnipotence, is desiring to experience things, because it's great when you're undivided and you're complete and you are one and you have all knowledge and all wisdom and all truth. But by the same token, it's kind of boring, isn't it? So that light divides itself into a bisexual force called electricity.
Yeah.
It's a two-sexed force, according to Walter Russell. And that God, that light, is the demiurge, the cosmocrators. That is the light that we are participating in our bodies. That's the vibration and what the senses see and experience. So basically, God, the still, is experiencing itself through God, the motion.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing how deep and how far it goes, but it's part of the rabbit hole journey. But
it is, and we're at a stage now, like you mentioned before, with the photon belt. We're at a stage where we are being bombarded with light. This is why it's a lot harder for criminal types to get away with their deeds, because they're exposed instantly. There's 100 articles on the internet as soon as any of these criminals commit fraud. Now, obviously, the arrests and the jailing of these criminals has got a bit of lag time, a lot less lag time than the exposure time, but it will happen. The light will not tolerate these works of darkness that are going on.
Yeah.
Because things are changing. There's a new universal order. That order is suggesting that we get out of dualism and we embrace unity. And the ones that embrace unity will be blessed and benefit from all these changes. The ones that resist it, they're gonna have to suffer for a little bit longer. I know. Yeah, I know how it's going to happen, but I don't have the time to elaborate on it today.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe next time you pop on.
Yeah, for sure. But certainly these ones who resist aligning themselves with the light will have to go somewhere else to learn their lessons again and repeat. It's all about repeating, because God is loving. If God does not awaken itself, it will continue to stay in the darkness and keep all of its entities that are in the darkness, to keep them in the darkness as well until such time as they awaken. It's all about awakening. That's what it is. This is why the Bible talks about Jesus saving us, because Jesus Christ is consciousness. And unless we receive Jesus in our heart, in other words, consciousness, we will not be saved. So it would be handy if those priests out there, instead of teaching, lies about Jesus and consciousness and Christ and what it really means, if they really were able to decipher what those scriptures meant, we would all be better off. And we wouldn't have 30,000 registered Christian denominations. We would have one Christian true church on the planet. And we would have one true Islamic church on the planet. One true Judaic, one true Hindu. They wouldn't be fractalized. They wouldn't be fractioned. And
so they all come back to the same understanding.
It's all the same. They are all based on the science of light. And but rather than being proponents of true light, they've become proponents of darkness because they've missed the whole point of the scriptures. And the scriptures themselves tell them and warn them, do not take these scriptures literally. In Hebrews it says the letter of the word kills. The spirit of the word is what enlivens.
Yeah. It's amazing the different ways you can decipher the texts that are passed down and given different understandings from what church and priests and all that sort of explain. But I'm going to quickly bring in caller 5976. Just he's been waiting for a little while. Hang on one sec. Hello, 5976. You there?
Hello?
How you going? Were you just listening, or did you want to put something in?
Oh, no, just listening, enjoying the show.
Ah, beautiful. No worries.
Yeah, just enjoying the show.
No, thanks for that.
All right, thank you.
Bye. All right. Yeah,
all right,
no.
brother. Well, I'd better get going.
No worries, Santos. Thanks for popping in.
No problems.
Well, I'll chat to you during the week.
Yep.
All right, ciao.
See ya, Darius, too. Thanks.
See ya.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, Darius, how's your day been?
What was that?
How's your day been? It's evening over there. In Pennsylvania as well?
Yeah, it's Pennsylvania. It's pretty cloudy out. Been raining all day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's crappy out. Been for the past week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Another thing, talking about education and breaking away from that sort of the understanding of being taught, I think getting rid of a lot of fear, like that's a big part that I learned is like being aware of it, being aware of what you're afraid of.
Exactly, because I see a lot of people in school too, and a lot of people in my school, because this is my last year. I'm still 18, so I'm high school. But I see a lot of people in there fearing, principal, the big man, or whatever you want to call it. They call it the principal, and they fear, and they fear everything about it. So basically, what they're told to do, they listen. And they're programmed through their whole lives to obey orders. And when they get out into the real world, they obey orders of authority or government because they've been trained ever since they were little to obey the principal of a school. You know what I mean? And they fear it. So whatever the big man says, little me, what they think, they're little. They follow through, and they follow through their whole lives, not even realizing the power that they have. That ye are gods, that they are sons of the Most High. You know. Yeah,
it's amazing imagine if you got a chance to, or you're still at school. I can imagine the trauma you put the teachers through. Do you question, or do you sort of more keep quiet and understand what they're playing their role and that sort of thing?
I'm sorry, what was that? It's hard on my line to hear you.
That's all right. So you're still at school now in last year?
Yeah, this is my last year in school. So I'm in 12th grade. And basically, throughout when I started awakening, like I said on the last radio show, I was in ninth grade, and that everybody knew me as like this bad kid or whatever, etc. And I awakened, and then 10th grade I came in, and then everybody's like, "Well, what the hell happened to you?" You know? And
yeah, I remember you explaining that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is really profound because I didn't even have to say anything, and they already knew something was different. And that's why I said in the last radio show, again, like I would try and I would get frustrated. I would try to awaken more people to let them realize what I was experiencing. And I was only hurting myself because they have to go their own path, you know. And but like I said, that's why I think a lot of this control system is going to help a lot of people do, because now the whole control system is foreclosed on. It's corrupted. It's falling apart. It's right now, today, it's giving people a chance, the ones that are asleep, to realize who they really are. And what are they going to do when they go into their bank one day and they can't withdraw money?
That's been happening in Cyprus. I'm not sure if you've been following that at all.
Yeah, the island, right? The bank was it was on the news. It was foreclosed, and people tried to run in and get their money, and they couldn't. I've seen that. But yeah, that's what's going to happen around the world pretty soon, and people are going to go in their banks. They're going to try to get money, and they're not going to be able to get anything out. And then a lot of the people that are still
Darius, 1 sec. I'm going to have to cut you off because I think it might cut out in about 5 seconds. But we'll continue this conversation on the next show. Thanks everyone for listening in. We'll get back to you soon. Oh, actually, I think. Oh no, does it go overtime? Because I'm new to this. Can it go overtime? I'm not too sure. Can anyone type in the chat if they can still hear?
Yeah, I'm still here. So.
Yeah, they must still. Maybe you can still run because it's. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Keep going, and if it cuts out, then we'll definitely continue the conversation to the next show. But yeah, what's happening in Cyprus, unbelievable. I think what I heard the latest is they've only been able to access $130 a day, I think. That's all they're allowed to take out.
Yeah, and people are going to have to learn to cooperate with each other and like live in unity. And people that don't, like the one guy that was just on, like he said, if they're not going with the energy that the universe is sending out, they're going to have a challenging time keeping up with it. And like you said before, some are just going to have to leave the planet and be stuck on the wheel of karma, experiencing this third-dimensional vibration. Learning the fear, emotion, all the limitation, you know.
Yeah.
But
it's a big part of it. Becoming aware that we're sort of limitless, and that's just understanding that doesn't take the cake really of our true potential and what we're able to achieve. But if we could working together, because I think one of the big problems is just sort of simple way of looking at it, but all the fences we have between our neighbours and people not talking to each other and being afraid to say hello to people in the street, I think that's everyone coming to that, losing that fear of the people that they don't know will be a massive change and shift of people just being welcomed by strangers. Yeah,
that's definitely true, and a lot of people do. I find a lot of, some of my friends, they do know a lot about this stuff, but I see that they fear actually speaking to other people about it. Like, they either fear being ridiculed or, like, judged or something, and that's another fear. And, like, I have a couple of good friends that actually know a lot about this stuff, and I try to tell them, come out with it, express it, go out into the world and tell people if they have an answer, and they're like, no, I'm in the real world, and they go boom right in the real world, and they don't say anything, and they never express themselves because they fear of getting judged, and that's one of the main things that I find a problem too with, is that people just have to learn how to express themselves without fearing what other people think, because when you have a fear in your mind, that's the only way anybody can control you. If you have fear. A stupid reason is, okay, if somebody fears of losing their jacket, for instance, okay, if you love this jacket and you fear of losing it, okay, you'll die without it, etc. All right, so if I came over to you and I said, okay, well, You love this jacket and you're fearing to lose it. If you don't go down to the store and get me this, I'm going to burn your jacket. You are going to go down to the store because you fear of losing the jacket. So fear is the only way that we could be controlled. So when we fear and we're in a system of fear, we're allowing to be controlled. Thus, if we don't fear and we just say, I am the ultimate being, I am consciousness, I am everything that ever will be, then fear is completely out of the question, and who could control us?
Yeah, exactly right. I've had a couple of experiences lately just in regards to police officers that are actually police officers now. They're not policemen and policewomen, but even my journey for losing fear to understand my rights and how to express them to the officers who are unaware of what the deeper, bigger picture is, and understanding that they have no real authority over you unless you're doing harm to someone and you've done some physical harm to somebody else. Then that's a different situation. But if you're getting pulled over because you haven't got a seatbelt on or something like that, and it's pretty amusing. It's very funny. Like I was actually thinking about. You should see how many fines. Or since I've lost fear, I've got fines. I've actually been thinking of creating a little. What are those things that the pinatas? Creating a pinata and paper macheing a pinata with all the fines and sending it to civic compliance. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that they're telling anyone to pay money, especially when civic compliance. I'm not sure if you're aware in Australia, civic compliance in Victoria is the main authority body for all the fines, and it's supposedly meant to be a government department. That's what everybody seems to understand it is, but it's actually owned by a private family. When I found the documentation and all that, it was really blew me away. I'm like, it's totally unnecessary. People have to really look into the rights that we all have, and them actually pulling you over in the first place is a form of imprisonment, especially when you haven't done anything wrong.
Exactly, and it's a verbal contract. And this is, again, with the whole control system. People, ever since they're little, school, etc., they've been taught to listen. Basically, whatever they're told, they believe it's right because that's the way they've been programmed. When people actually start, like, all right, you're driving your car and you drive past a cop. When people stop getting that fear, and sometimes I get it too. Like, I don't know why, it's like an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
When I go past the cop, I'm like, oh crap, the cop. Like, I get this adrenaline rush, and I already know my freedoms. I'm like, all right, well, first of all, he can't do anything. He's foreclosed. I'm not doing anything. And if he tries to pull me over, he's making a verbal contract with me, enslaving me. And under the UCC law, underneath Title 18 of a diplomat, you can't do such and such. But people don't know this, and they're like, okay, well, police officers pull me over. Well, I have to do what he says because he says that I have to do it. And people have to do their research themselves to understand their own freedoms. People can't just be like listening to me or listening to anybody else saying, okay, well, if you get pulled over, you could do this. Don't just listen to what I say. Do your own research, because knowing, well, when you know something, it's totally different. Well, you could listen to me or you could listen to anybody else that talks about OPP or Freemason, etc., that people are foreclosed on. They're only going to get an idea of it. They're really never going to know their true freedom until they do the research themselves and actually know who they really are inside. And, I mean, like I said, even now, like, I'll still go past the cop and I'll get all this adrenaline. Why? Because it's
funny, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like
yeah, go sorry.
It's like it's almost like it's programmed in me to fear a cop or something. Because when I drive past it, even though I know who I am and I know my rights, I get this big adrenaline rush and I get nervous and I'm like, wow, it's like really, it's even programmed into me to fear it, but I already know who I really am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. But,
even having the blue and red lights being at the opposite end of the spectrum, they play a part as well. That's meant to be a big factor in harnessing our attention and awareness to have fear as a first instinct to pop in. but they've all become debt collectors. They're not there so much anymore to they do protect, but I'm not sure about over there. I know things are getting out of control, but even in Australia, they're just there to make as much money for revenue raising. It's crazy. A lot of people need to start learning exactly how they operate, what's going on. So, because the more people that are aware, officers are gonna start dealing with these people more and more, and they'll be like, hang on a minute, how are these people all learning or understanding their rights? And they used to be their rights used to be taught to us in school. And then when I think, I forgot the Prime Minister's name that came in, they took out all the books that taught the students their rights. So there's an agenda in itself.
Yeah, and like even myself, like I actually went up to an officer. He was standing there, and I walked up to him, and like I wanted to see what he really knew, and I walked up to him and I asked him, I'm like, are you really here for the people, or are you here to enslave the people? And he was like, I'm here for the people. I'm like, then you do know that you are foreclosed on, and that basically, and anything that I do or anybody else does, as long as it's not harming anybody else or anybody's measurable energy, that underneath the law, you cannot do anything to me because I'm not doing anything underneath a foreclosed entity. And he was like, oh, like, you know, like getting like red and stuff. He's like, what are you talking about? If you do this, you'll be put in jail. That's the law. And I said, it's not the law. You are foreclosed on, and you have to do research. And then after that, I walked on my way and I walked off. And it's just it shows that not even your local authority even knows the real law. What they don't even know the law at all. Your local authority people, they only know what they've been taught. So if they do pull you over and do something, you really can't stop them. But if they do something to you, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Oppt. Are you familiar?
Yeah, I was going to say that to anyone who hasn't was unaware of what Darius was talking about when he's speaking about the governments and banks and that sort of thing being foreclosed upon. The One People's Public Trust, if you wanted to have a good look into that, they've got their own website and they go into depth about explaining how that's all come about in last year in December. I'm pretty sure when that all started.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure when they were foreclosed on, but it was 2012. I think February. I'm not sure. I forgot. I looked at it before, but I think it's February 24th. I'm not 100% sure exactly when they were, but based on what I'm saying, like your local authority doesn't even know that they're foreclosed on. They're just basically going off of what they've been taught. But sheriffs, they do know because sheriffs know that they have a right to the land. All right, so when they weren't foreclosed on, sheriffs already knew that they had a right to the land. So they already knew this whole the beneficiary, I'm Darius Wright, beneficiary of right. They already knew all this stuff, and they knew that they were the officer of the land. So sheriffs do know about Freemason stuff, but your local police officer doesn't. They just go off of if the sheriff says, okay, well, this is the law. If you catch somebody with a seatbelt not on, you have to fine them so and so such money. But when they go, when they come across a person that knows who they are and knows that they're foreclosed on, if they say, okay, we're pulling you over because you have a busted taillight or et cetera, you would be like, no, you're not. I'm going to be on my way, and if you do anything to me, here's my courtesy notice and my terms and conditions to that. So, I mean, it's really all you have to stand your ground and know you got to know yourself, you know.
Yeah, it's totally up to us. We're the ones who are in charge, and we have to take responsibility for everything and all of our actions and how we conduct ourselves and being really free. But I think we only have about 30 seconds left on the show. But thank you heaps for calling in, Darius. Next week, definitely have you on. I know Bob was telling me about your Skype, but we'll organise the internet sort of thing. But thanks for having on. Thanks everyone for listening. Next week will be a lot more exciting, just getting into it. But thank you again. Talk to you soon. Thanks, Darius.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Amelia. Nice to talk to you.
You too, man. I'll talk to you during the week.
All right. See ya.
Bye.